significant. And I know there's going to be tremendous things said about these people, so I don't want to hold it up too much longer. Our first Hall of Fame inductee is Ryland Huyghue. And here to introduce him is another Hall of Famer, Mitch Fenton.
This is a great night for lacrosse in the LA area with Paul here and these great 4 Hall of Famers. Congratulations to all of you. Before I introduce Ryland, I want to just take a minute to thank, in addition to Gary, who's getting a lot of play, a lot of hours went into making this event. I spent Sunday in the Motor Garage, and they were up to their hips in all these prizes, and preparing the tables and what have you. So for Dan Moeller, our president, and the First Lady, Liz Moeller, big hand. Ryland, where are you? Stand up. You've got a big booming voice. Tell us how you pronounce your name.
Huyghue.
Huyghue.
No, the first name.
Ryland.
Ryland Huyghue. The first time I saw him, I was playing on a men's club team in San Diego, which went on to win the state championship. We were playing against his team in the semifinals, and we decided the only way we could win the game is if we double-teamed him every time he touched the ball. True story. And a couple of years later, I played for 2 years on his team, the Malibu Lacrosse Club. Ryland was the player, coach, water boy, president, everything. And I got to see firsthand in every practice, in every game, what a prolific player he really was. He was also a great leader. He had all the gifts. He had a fantastic shot, speed, quickness, strength, and most important, smarts. And he was a great coach, a great tactician. He always made the right personnel moves, except the one time he pulled me out of the game.
I remember that.
He could be tough on his teammates. Ask some of the guys in Malibu, but he was also tough on himself. And he also had that big booming laugh, which was just great. Sometimes in the huddle, but always at the post-game parties. I'm not here to give you Ryland's stats. If you look at the bio, it documents his dominance as a player who was on the All-Star team for a decade and various MVP awards. Suffice to say that he was obviously, for a decade or more, one of the best players in the state of California. In my 40 years here in Southern California, I've seen many great players. Sadly, too few of them have done work off the field as a coach or an administrator. In Ryland's case, he did both, and we're all the beneficiaries of that. If you look at his bio, look at the colleges he coached. UCLA, USC, Pepperdine, UC Irvine, Occidental, Long Beach State, Pepperdine. And on the high school level, he helped start the teams at Santa Monica, Granada Hills, and his current team, St. John Bosco. Now, I don't know if you know about this school, but most of the attendees in the room are familiar that that is a powerhouse athletic department high school. They were not just the state champs in football, they were the national champs a year or 2 ago. And, by starting the program 3 years ago there, Ryland is helping moving high school lacrosse to an even better level. And, I got to think that Notre Dame High School started this year seeing all these other schools, didn't want to fall behind, Loyola, Chaminade, and Crespi, and the emerging program at Bosco. So things are moving in the right direction. One can be elected into this Hall of Fame for excellence as a coach, or a player, or an administrator. And Ryland really could be elected on any of those 3. One forgets, because it was 3 years ago, what a crucial role he played on the organizing committee of the World Championships that were held here in Los Angeles in 1984, just before the Olympic Games. Ryland also served as president of the Men's Club League for a decade, which is no easy task, because although they're great players, it's very disorganized. And I'm sure it took a lot of patience and leadership to move it forward year after year. A decade as its president. Finally, at the present time, he's serving the chapter in charge of Boys Awards, and is the current president of the Pacific Lacrosse League, organizing the regional and state championships for high school club teams. In short, as his bio makes clear, he has dedicated himself to our sport here in Southern California for over 3 decades. He made a difference and continues to do so today. I'm honored to be the one to call him up to the podium, the Hall of Famer, Ryland Huyghue.
I want to thank everybody, first of all, for coming out and supporting this event tonight. I want to thank Mitch for presenting me. Other people in the room that I wanted to thank you. Number one is the man upstairs, because without him, none of this would be possible. And more importantly, my parents. Without them, I wouldn't be here today. I'll tell you a little quick story, because I have about 2 minutes up here, I think. I had no idea what lacrosse was when I was 7 years old. And I grew up in the projects back in Long Island, New York. And my parents said to me as a little kid, you're not going to be running around the neighborhood with all these other little knuckleheads. You're going to be doing some kind of an extracurricular activity all year round. So I started playing football, did well in that, started playing basketball, did well in that. Then the springtime came. They said, so what do you want to do? I said, well, what is there to do? They said, well, you can play baseball. No, too boring. You can play tennis. My dad knew this professional tennis player from Nigeria. I said, I'm not really chasing the ball back and forth. And the guy that introduced me to football said, your son would be a great lacrosse player. I said, what's lacrosse? They said, don't worry about it. You'll just be good at it. I said, okay. And, you know, I was always the fastest kid, but I didn't like to run unless I had to, or a dog was chasing me or something. So I said, you know what, I'll play it. So my first lacrosse practice, I'll never forget. My dad says, we're going to go down and introduce you to the lacrosse kids. So it's snowing outside, there's about 4 inches of snow. And I'm like, Dad, where are we going? He says, you're going to go play lacrosse. I said, okay. We pull in this parking lot, there must have been like 300 kids in this big, huge parking lot, all running around playing lacrosse. And I'm looking at my dad like, you don't expect me to get out there, do you? He said, yeah, I do, get out the car. So the guy that introduced me comes up, he gives me this old helmet, some gloves, the back rack. Some of you guys who played in the past know what they are. And I got out there and I just picked it up just like that. It was just one of those sports that came to me naturally. And I went on to be pretty successful at it in high school. I got selected to my high school Hall of Fame. And I was a football player as well. And when I was a senior, and this goes out to the young guys, my grades weren't where they needed to be. I had scholarships for football, scholarships for lacrosse, and I ended up choosing lacrosse because I thought that I'd get a better education playing lacrosse. And then, you know, back in that days, I didn't know about signing letters of intent or anything like that. And University of Maryland had called me up and said, you know what, we got you into school, we need you to come down. And I was looking at other schools, Hopkins, North Carolina, and so on. And the reason I chose Maryland is because if you take the M.A. off of Maryland, you have Ryland. I had all these bumper stickers, Ryland Lacrosse, University of Ryland. That's how I chose my school. So, you know, moving along, I want to give props and thanks to a couple other people who were very important in my decisions in lacrosse and in California. My decision to come out to the West Coast was primarily because of weather. I got tired of shoveling snow on our practice fields. I got tired of the 95-degree, 110% humidity, the mosquitoes. My dad moved out to California. I came out to visit him and absolutely fell in love with the place. And I went back home. I told my mother, Mom, I'm moving to California. She says, no, you're not. I said, yes, I am. She said, no, you're not. I said, yes, I am. I said, Mom, in 2 weeks, I'm getting my last paycheck and I'm getting a flight out. 2 weeks came. I said, Mom, I need to ride to the airport. She said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to California. She said, no, you're not. I said, yes, I am. She says, you are? I said, yeah. I said, you're going to give me a ride? She said, yeah. So she gives me a ride. I come out here in 1982, and I fell in love with the place. I've been here ever since. And when I came out, I was introduced to a gentleman by the name of Scott King. His father was Ted King. He was the team dentist for USC football, for the LA Rams. And that family just basically took me in and helped me move forward. During that time, I met Joe Campbell. Well, before I met Joe, I got introduced to Orange County Lacrosse Club. Gentleman in here by the name of Bob Davis, Hall of Famer, who was the head coach. We had an unbelievable team. Most of our team was made up of All-Americans, Team USA guys, and we basically dominated the sport. I played with them for about 4 years. Everybody we played, we beat by like 20 goals. And the challenge left, and I said, you know what? I need to start my own team, and I need to show people out here how lacrosse is to be played. Because my first lacrosse game I saw out in California, it shocked me. I saw these guys. Scott took me to the game. I come out there. Instead of a keg of Gatorade on the side, they had a keg of beer. There were guys laying down in the middle of the field with cans of Bud, drinking beer. Guys on the side, and I'm saying to myself, oh my God, if a Boy Scout troop ever came through here, nobody would ever join and play lacrosse. So I said, I got to fix that. Well, I believe Bob Davis was the president of the California Lacrosse Association at the time. He retired, and for whatever reason, I took that role. And when I took it, I decided that I want to grow this sport, and I want the East Coast to see that there is lacrosse out on the West Coast. So, you know, I made a lot of changes. Some of my friends, close friends, some of my friends that were on my team, I kicked out of the league because they were doing crazy things like intimidating the refs, spitting on them, fighting, all kinds of things. I won't mention any of the names, but some of you guys know who they are. Regardless, I started making changes and tried to clean up the league a little bit more. And we got more parity in the league, and hence came the Malibu Lacrosse Club. A good friend of mine by the name of Joe Campbell, another Hall of Famer from upstate New York. We became friends, and he helped me. I told him my ideas. I said, I want to start a lacrosse club and show the rest of Southern California the way this sport should be played. I said, first of all, I want to get the best uniforms. I want to get the best practice field. I want to get a sponsor. And I don't want to cut anybody. So we had tryouts. We had over 80 guys show up. And because we had 80 guys, I decided to make two teams, Malibu A, Malibu B. Well, Malibu B turned into, Dan, what team did you play on? South Bay. South Bay went and then grew, and they stayed around. My Malibu team, after about 13 seasons, we were always a competitor in the finals, battling my old team, Orange County. We grew the sport tremendously, quickly. The parity came in, and I'll never forget this. When we started, you know, I'm an old school guy. My team, we had to practice, we had to do calisthenics, jumping jacks, line drills, and I'll never forget our first game against Old Mission Bay from San Diego. Came up to play us. Our home field was Pepperdine University, and those people who've seen that university know the view and so on. Our sponsor was the Malibu Lacrosse Club. We had the best parties. bands, so everybody always wanted to come up and play at Malibu. But our first game, we're up there doing our jumping jacks, doing our line drills. These guys are on the side drinking their beer, laughing at us, and we ended up beating them pretty bad. The next time we went down to San Diego to play them, they were now doing their jumping jacks, their line drills, and so on. And that was my goal, is to get everybody, and you know, the uniforms, there were guys in different colored jerseys, socks, shorts, and everything. And basically I said, you know, if we're going to grow the sport, we got to step up. So all the other teams started getting new uniforms, started practicing, and the sport became very, very competitive out here. And then what I did, I noticed there was a problem with collegiate lacrosse and club lacrosse. The collegiate coaches hated the club players. Why? Because we were crazy. We were wild, we were out of college, and we were very influential to the younger guys. So, as Mitch mentioned earlier, I was involved in the 84 Olympics and the World Games. So what I did, I combined the clubs and the colleges and made one all-star team. We took them out to Vail, Colorado. And at that time, we lost to Long Island Lacrosse Club by a goal. We lost to Maryland Terps, which my idol was Frank Urso. That's why I wore number 21. I had the opportunity to face off against, and that was probably one of the best moments in my life. We lost to them by one goal, but what we did is we showed the rest of the country that there was lacrosse out in California. After that year in Vail, guys from the East Coast just started coming out here flood because they said, wow. Because the first time I came out to California, it took me about a month to find out where they were playing. So after that, you know, after that expedition we did out in Vail, everybody started coming out, and hence, here we are now with the high schools that are developing, with the club teams that are still going strong. And, you know, it was just an amazing thing. And it was a passion that I had then and I had now. I worked in corporate America for over 30 years, and 4 years ago I decided, you know what, you know, I make a good salary, but I want to follow my passion, and my passion is lacrosse. So I retired from corporate America, and now all I do is lacrosse 24/7. I don't get paid as much, but the reward that I get from coaching these young kids there's nothing else like it. And I'm just proud to be a part of the growth that's happening out here, and hopefully we can continue to move this forward. My focus now is really working on the inner city. I'm on the diversity board with U.S. Lacrosse, and you know, speaking with people like Ginger Miles, who helps our board. The focus for lacrosse is right here in Los Angeles, and the guys that are coaches now, we need you guys to continue to coach, continue to make this movement happen, because the focus with U.S. Lacrosse in Baltimore is Los Angeles. So we have a huge opportunity here to make things happen. So with that said, I'm not going to keep talking here. I want to thank everybody once again. If I missed anybody, I apologize, but I appreciate everything that everybody's done. The committee itself, I appreciate you guys nominating me. Dan Bowler, I want to thank you for keeping our board together. I know how hard that is, struggling to have everybody show up at the meeting and so on, and to put this event on. I was here 2 years ago, and my buddy Mitch, I was awarded a plaque for outstanding contribution, and he said, Ryland, don't worry about it. Next time you come up here, you'll get a bigger plaque. There it is. So I want to thank everybody. My mom's going to be mad because her rose she gave me just fell off.
Go, Coach.
Thank you. That's why I find you.
God, he's cute too.
I got one last thing. Way back in the 70s,
Now we're talking. Now we're talking.
I played for Long Island Lacrosse Club. Okay? We had a game up in Connecticut, and at that game was ESPN. It was the first time they ever filmed a lacrosse game. There are these two long-haired, hippie-looking guys that were walking around on cameras, and we were like, who are they? oh, they're with ESPN. We're like, who's ESPN? Because at that time, the only sports network was the Wide World Sports, for those who know. And here we are today with ESPN helping us all out. Thank you very much, guys.
Congratulations, Ryland. Ryland, the keg of beers, the guys on the field, man, you wouldn't fit in at Syracuse. Good thing you went to Maryland.